Hello, 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 and welcome to 20 Years with a Narcissist. I'm your host, Shakira, and I would like to start with words of affirmations. You are whole, you are complete, you are enough, you are strong, you are brave, you are resilient, you are guided, you are protected, and you are safe. And this here is a safe space. We're going to continue with the Narcissist Playbook manipulation. We are now on phase three, which is developing a planned response and skills to the manipulator's behavior so that you can respond to disable the manipulation. AKA, do not allow an argument to ensue. Do not allow them to get you all riled up, right? And you want to disable it while it's happening. The skills you will need in order to achieve this goal will be to set boundaries. You have to set them, you have to firmly state them. What behavior is acceptable, which you will and will not allow, and then you got to stand 10 toes on it. You got to be unwavered. You got to be like a rock when the wind is blowing and you don't move when it comes to your boundaries with these manipulators. Otherwise, they're going to push you over, you know what I'm saying, like you weigh 10 pounds. And you can't allow that. Of course, it's a process, it does not happen overnight. It will happen over time. Number two, you use neutral responses to avoid emotional reactions. You respond calmly with short, factual statements. You just get straight to the point. You just get straight to the point. They come in, oh babe, why you ain't tell me that you was going to so and so's crib later on, because like I had plans for us and I wanted to go, and now you text me and tell me, oh, I'm going to so and so crib. Like, why you didn't tell me that? Well, babe, I did tell you. Actually, if you scroll back up in our text thread, you'll see that I told you about a week ago about it. What? No, ain't nobody scrolling up. Who's scrolling up? Ain't nobody about to scroll up, man. You can tell me anything. I ain't trying to hear that. Like, did you check in with me first? Did you just shoot me a text and tell me you was doing this? Or did you say, oh, babe, is it okay? No, I told you. I told you where I was going and what I was doing. Yep. Because they're going to push, right? They're going to push. So, number three is repeat your position. When they pressure you, because 9 times out of 10 they are. When they try to push you, because 9 times out of 10 they are. You stand your ground. You restate what you just said in a very calm manner, and you keep it moving. If they want to continue to press from there, you let them talk to themselves. You let it fall on that ears. I said what I said. I said what I said. There's nothing else to say. I said what I said, and I'm going. So that's pretty much there's that, right? Number four, delay the response. Delay the response sometimes. They come in all rah, rah, rah. They want to, attacking you, saying this, saying that. Don't respond immediately. Sit there for a second, whether it's in person, whether it's via text, whether you're talking to them over the phone. Just be like, just give it a pause. And of course, they're going to be like, hello? Because, like in true narc form, they want everything to move at a very fast pace. Like, hurry up, come on, let's go. Like, what's the delay? They don't like delays. But who cares? This is about you and you protecting your peace and not allowing them to manipulate you, right? So, delay that response. Delay that response. I had to do that quite recently with my last narc because, he thought he was going to try to manipulate or, get a reaction out of me. And it's funny because that was his response. Which he was trying to get a reaction out of me. I'll tell you that story in a second. Number five, you redirect or disengage. Shift the focus to the issue at hand Because they'll veer off track somewhere, go way somewhere else on you, and you like, wait, what does one thing have to do with the other? Like, what? Like, what just happened? Where did the conversation just go? What are we even talking about now? Are we still talking about the same thing? Yeah, because you going to bring that thing right on back around. No, swing that back. Run that right on back, Jack. You tried it. You tried it. We not doing that. Because that's how they get to manipulate you. They try to alter, change, shift, go somewhere else, and you redirect that thing right on back around. Okay? And if that doesn't work, because sometimes it won't. Sometimes they just won't be trying to hear what you're saying. They will overtalk you, raise their voices, get more aggressive. And then at that point in time, you walk away. If it's via text message, you put your phone down and don't say anything else. If it's over the phone, you hang up. Okay, I'm done. If you want to be nice, okay, I'm done with this conversation, honey. Talk to you later. Click. Or you just bang on them, especially if they irate and like nothing you saying is mattering to them at all at this point. What's the point of talking? No, we're done. No, we're done talking. I'm going to hang up now. But prepare yourself for some type of argument when they get there, if it is over the phone or via text, and as if y'all live together, because maybe you don't, and you can just hang up on them, and I see you and or talk to you when I see and or talk to you. See you later, goodbye. I hope that's the situation, and you ain't got to go home to that, or they come home to you in their, irate state. But if for some reason that is the case, you always keep your calm. No matter what, you stay calm. Do not allow them to get an emotional response out of you. If you're in a professional setting, like they're your boss or your teacher or something like that, right? The experience or the interaction is going to occur. You keep your calm, or even if you're not strong enough just yet to keep your calm, and you end up engaging in the interaction, and it ends up blowing up and it turns into an argument. Document it. Document it. When you leave the situation and you're able to, document that. Date, time, what did they say to even start the whole conversation or interaction? And what was the trigger? How and or why did it go left? How did we get to an argument? How did the argument end? Document that bad boy. And that's a professional setting. If it's not, and it's just personal, especially if you're currently going through your healing journey, journal it. Journal it. You want to write down these interactions, especially if you are following my podcast and you are taking these necessary steps to not only become narcissist resistant, but to heal and not allow yourself to be manipulated and gaslighted. Take these steps, and within these steps, you definitely want to make sure you document it. Not only to get it out of your system, because what we do when we go through these type of interactions, because they negatively affect us in such a manner, they end up being on repeat in our minds. You end up replaying it over and over again, over and over again, over and over again. And then you try to figure out, like, well, what could I have said differently to have prevented it from going in that direction? What could I have done to limit the blow up, if that is indeed what it got to? And I mean, it literally, the thoughts consume you in such a way that, you start neglecting other, areas or aspects of your life. You're supposed to be getting dressed to go to work, and you just sitting here engrossed in that thought of that argument, that now you running late because it's like, oh my gosh, stop thinking about it. Put your clothes on, get out the door. Speaking from experience, I think anything that you could think of that somebody goes through when you're in these type of toxic relationships, I've experienced it. I have 100% experienced while driving. How many of us are driving and you get in the car and you know where you're going, and if it's a familiar place where the subconscious mind takes over the driving, and you get to the destination and you finally come back to, because you've been is completely engrossed in that thought, and then you be like, oh snap, how and when did I get here? What in the world? Oh my goodness. I gotta stop thinking about this. It literally consumes you. And you don't want that. So journaling and documenting will allow you, like I said, get it out your system. You write it down. You say, okay, this is what happened. I don't want this to happen again. So I'm going to try my best to avoid that by not engaging, keeping calm, staying directly to the point, and then walking away if they continue to push or pressure you into more than that, right? So you're going to have challenges. Of course, one of those challenges is sticking to the boundaries. The A narcissist, a manipulator, these beings love pushing past your boundaries. A boundary is like a hurdle that they just got to jump over. Like, you got a boundary? Oh, let me push the hurdle over. I'm not even going to jump over the hurdle. I'm going to push the hurdle down and then step over it. That's what I'm going to do with that. Your boundaries mean nothing to them. Most of them do not care about your boundaries at all. And they're going to continue to do what they want to do. You know? Like I said, it depends on the circumstance. If you watch my last episode where I told my narc if he went outside, or came in the house 2-3 in the morning again, all his belongings were going to be outside on the curb. He didn't like the idea of that. He had really expensive clothing, and the thought of them being outside for anybody to take and them to lose thousands of dollars, he couldn't fathom that. So that was a boundary that I was able to put in place that he actually adhered to. So whatever boundary you can put into place that they'll actually adhere to, 100% put it into effect and stand 10 toes on it. But it can be challenging depending on what that boundary is and whether or not your manipulator wants to abide by it or take heed to it. Because like I said, most of them don't care, and boundaries are just something to be pushed over. So another challenge is remaining in control. We are human beings, We are not robots. We are not machines. You can't turn us on and off. And sometimes when people constantly provoke you, push your buttons, you react. Even if you don't want to, even if the intention is not to do so. Sometimes you're just going to fall short, especially in the beginning of trying to, make this be a habit. Okay, I don't want to interact or engage with this person in this negative way anymore. I understand that they are a narcissist or a manipulator. I understand. Now, right now, you're trying to manipulate me. You're trying to gaslight me. You're trying to provoke me, poke the bear. And I'm not going to let you win. But sometimes they're going to win. Sometimes they just going to win. And that's just one of the challenges with dealing with a manipulator. But practice makes perfect, right? The more you keep at something, the better you get at it. So give yourself some grace. Another challenge is not allowing others to advise their well-intended advice, mind you. These are people who you confide in, they love and care about you. They don't want to see you keep getting hurt by this person. So they give you what they feel is good advice, but sometimes it just isn't the best advice, especially not for your situation, right? So you don't want their advice to knock you off your square, right? Because you have this one thought about the situation, but then you call and confide in them, and then they plant a whole different seed. And what happens when you plant a seed? Something starts to grow. And once it starts growing, now you can't stop thinking about that thing, and it's like, oh snap. Well, maybe I shouldn't, or maybe I should. And now you knocked off balance, knocked off your square, and finding yourself right back in the same loop with your manipulator because you took their advice instead of listening to yourself. Remember that self-validation I talked about in the previous episode? You have to validate yourself. Their intentions are good. They mean you well, but they are not in your situation. They are not in your shoes, so they cannot give you the best advice. Like I said, unless they're a licensed psychologist, a trained therapist, somebody who's well-versed in narcissism or manipulation, they can't give you the best advice on how to deal with that situation. So you just have to be the one to say, okay, I'm going to deal with it like this. And I know that if I keep my cool and don't allow myself to get all riled up and act with impulsive emotion, that the whole interaction will just fade away. It'll die. You know what I'm saying? If they just talking to themselves because now you done checked out on them because you said what you said and they still want to go on, how can the conversation escalate from there? Unless they're the violent ones, because you do have the malignant narcissists who will get violent. Oh, you're not going to answer me? Oh, you can't hear me now? And next thing you know, you're getting punched in the face. So everybody's situation is different, and I definitely don't want you to be physically harmed. So you do need to handle the situation that's for the best outcome for you and your situation, right? So let's break that down a little bit. So if you are dealing with a malignant narc, right? So I did talk about the term gray rock in my previous episode. So there's also a term called yellow rock. Now, the gray rock is where you give them no energy, no narcissistic supply. If you're going to talk to them at all, it's very stern and firm. It's very straight to the point. You know, just like everything that I'm saying here for phase 3. You want to really be real short with them, real straight to the point, right? Now, if you have a malignant narc who's not going to accept that, and next thing you know, he's physically harming you, then you do want to give them a little bit of emotion, right? So, for example, let's come up with an example. So, you know, you made them something to eat, right? And now they want to start an argument about the taste of the food. Yeah, well, what you put in it should taste salty. Like, how much salt did you put in it? Like, what the, you know what I mean? What's going on? Like, what, you don't know how to cook no more? Yeah, because that's how they talk to you, right? And you like, now, if you want to be, if you gray rocking them, you like, no, I made it the same way I always make it, but I'm sorry that you feel that way. I'll make it better next time. And then you stop talking, and they're like, no, I don't even want this now. And they push the plate away, and it's like, it's nasty. It's too salty. I can't even deal with that. Gray rock, I'm sorry you feel that way. You can leave it there. I'll discard of it later. You can find something else to eat in the fridge if you like. You're not giving them no energy, right? You're responding. You're not ignoring them and say, you know, I don't like this. You're not being on in a way where you're not caring about what they're saying at all. But at the same time, you're not giving them any type of an emotional response. Because you can feel all the way some type of way about him coming at your food. Okay? And it might not even be salty. Or maybe it was just a little bit. Maybe you put just a smidge, you know, extra salt in there this time. You used 2 different type of seasonings and they both had salt. So when you threw that one in there, it elevated the salt just a smidge, but it was enough for him to have a negative response toward it. But you chose not to, you know, allow his negative comments to negatively affect you, but you still responded. No, I didn't put extra salt. Nope. But now they throwing the food at you. A yellow rock, when you give it a little more emotion and care. Oh wow, it's salty. You think it's salty? Okay. Well, you know what? We can add a little more pepper to it to balance the salt out. You try to interact or engage in a way where you could resolve the issue to their liking, or you replace the meal and give them something else. Is there something else I can fix you that you would prefer to eat that would make you feel, you know, satisfied and fulfilled with the meal? I don't want you to not eat, babe. I didn't mean to add any extra salt. If that's what you feel like I did, that wasn't my intention. But if you don't want to eat it, that's fine. I could get you something else. So you see how you still stayed calm. You engaged in a way that will not allow the interaction to escalate in a negative direction. There shouldn't be a reason for them to now want to cause you physical harm for this extra salt in the food, right? And you gave some type of resolve to the situation so that you can walk away from it unscathed. So you got to choose which outcome you want, and depending on what that outcome is, you choose how you're going to interact and engage with the manipulator so that that outcome is imminent. So that is indeed the outcome that you end up getting, because the last thing you want is for them to start wailing on you because you decided to ignore them and not care about the extra salt in the food at all. For me, that's what I'm doing. Oh well, I was very, combative. My tongue was sharp, but I didn't have. I guess I had a moderate narcissist, if you will. I didn't have a malignant one. He did not physically harm me. He did not put his hands on me. And if you want to talk your shit, I'm gonna talk mine too. If you feel some type of way or something, that sounds like a you problem. Now it's your choice not to eat it. If you don't want to eat it, that's fine. You can starve for all I care. I did my job. I did my part. I fed you. If you don't like the food, feed yourself. It's really just that simple. Yeah, I stopped washing his clothes. I used to wash his clothes. I was a good little wife. I was an awesome wife. And I used to wash his clothes. And the one time he told me that I dried something that shrank or something of the sort. And I was like, oh, well, maybe you should just wash your own clothes. And he concurred. He says, you know what? I will. It's all good. I'll wash it myself. Yes. One less thing on my plate. One less thing I got to do or worry about. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I dealt with my nerd. I just wasn't putting up with his shit for the most part. And when he did ultimately disrespect me in a way, where it was like, I found out you had a baby on me, STDs, all the things that were major things that should have been deal breakers for me to not ever have allowed him back in, I would leave and walk away. So, everybody has what their boundaries are, what they're willing to put up with and tolerate. So that's what you have to write down. Don't just think it up. Write it down. Deliver it to said manipulator. Let them know this is how you feel. This is what it is. And then stand on it. But, when it doesn't go the way that you want, give yourself grace. Do not be one of them type of people that beat themselves up. I was the queen of that as well. Oh my gosh, Shakira, you so dumb. Like, how could you do that? Like, how could you mess up? Like, you wasn't supposed to give him no action, like no interaction, no engagement. Like, why did you get riled up? Like, dang. Like, literally mad at yourself because you feel like you failed. I was not successful at not allowing him to get me riled up. Damn, I'm an idiot. Dang, what's wrong with me, man? Nothing. Nothing is wrong with you. You're a human being. And when somebody's provoking you the way that these manipulators can, it is extremely difficult to not blow up or emotionally react. So when you do get to a place in a space where you're able to, you all that. You are a warrior, as I said in my last episode. Like, you are strong. This is why I start off with the words of affirmations, because I don't want you to ever think that you are not strong, you are not brave, that you are not capable of any and everything that you put your mind to. If that is truly what you want, you will succeed in it. Give yourself time, give yourself grace, keep practicing, because I'm sure the manipulator is going to give you plenty of opportunities to be able to practice, not allowing them to get you riled up. But like I said, my last manipulator, right? Because we still attend school together, he smoked cigarettes. And he decided he smokes the cigarette literally right outside the door. Literally right outside the door. And I wanted to go inside of the building what day it was, and he was standing there with a cigarette, and I didn't want to walk by and inhale it. Cigarettes, for whatever reason, bother me, like, on so many levels. Like, it literally makes my throat feel like it's closing. I tell people I'm allergic. I'm allergic to cigarettes because the way them Jones make me, like, the way my body reacts to the smoke, I feel like I'm dying. No exaggeration. I am an asthmatic. I have asthma. So that plays a part. I got diagnosed at 4, and it hurts. It hurts my lungs. It hurts my throat. My ears start playing. You ever have like pressure build right up in here in your ear, and it feel like it want to pop, but it can't? It does that. My eyes start burning and watering because I also have allergies. So you can't tell me I'm not allergic to this daggone cancer stick that you're sitting there smoking. And just because you want to kill yourself slowly but surely, I don't want to die along with you. No thanks. So no, I have not been talking to this narc. I have been great rocking the shit out of him since September, since we broke up, right? Or since he discarded me like trash. Let's be clear. And this was the first time I texted him anything since September. And this was last month. So I said, could you move with that cigarette, please? Now, I see him smoke the cigarette a little bit harder because I'm sitting in my car watching him in front of the door, like literally blocking the walkway because it was an older woman, a client coming in for servicing, and she had to walk by that cigarette. And he had a nerve to be like, oh, yeah, how you doing? Yeah, how you doing? I'm good until I had to walk through your cloud of smoke, sir. It's just inappropriate. And you're supposed to be 50 feet away from the school anyway. So move, get out the way. So it took about 3 more pulls. But by the second pull, I was like, oh, so he not going to listen? So I asked Siri, call Empire Beauty School. Like, let's call them up, because now we gonna have to snitch, because I ain't no snitch. I don't get into snitching. Like, that's really not my jam. It's not. I'm gonna keep it a bean. I don't like snitching. It's not, no, it's not something I get into. But if I absolutely have to protect Shakira, to protect myself, that is indeed what I will do. Okay? So, for whatever reason, the call didn't go through. But all things happen for a reason, because after the third pull, he plucked it away. I said, oh, okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. So that was like a Thursday. Do you know this man texted me back on Sunday? I'm at work. I get a text on myself. So why did you text me? What was you trying to get a reaction out of me? Yeah, you got the wrong person. I literally started my text off like that. You got the wrong person, because I don't do anything to get a reaction out of anyone. That is absolutely not how I operate. Nope. Wrong chick. Sorry, not sorry. You know what I'm saying? So I said, but just to be clear as to why I texted you, just so there's no confusion, the text was a courtesy. Because I didn't want to call into school and tell them to go get you from smoking outside of the door. I didn't want to be her. So I said, you know what? Let me contact him directly and ask him to move with his cigarette that I don't want to walk by and inhale. Because even when I did get out the car and went into the school, I can still smell it. And when I can smell stuff, I can taste it. And that's nasty. You know what I'm saying? But you moved. I didn't have to. It wasn't a cloud of smoke. It was just the smell, right? So I said, but since you decided to text me back days later, I'm gonna need you to refrain from ever smoking in front of the school door ever again, or else I will have to alert the necessary authorities. That's what I'm gonna have to do, because you're supposed to be 50 feet away, and it's not okay for people with respiratory issues or older people who's coming in to get services that have to walk through your cloud of smoke. It's not fair. So I'm going to need you to stop doing that, okay? And that's all I got to say. Take care. He texted me back. It was like, do what you got to do. The next text, stop texting me. The next text, if you text me again, I'm going to have to alert the necessary authorities. He called this whole throw it back, because you know what narcissists like to do. They like to mirror you. They like to do, whatever you do, they want to give it back to you. They want to give it back to you. And I used to call him boomerang, because he would boomerang anything you said, especially if it was something he liked. He would boomerang that thing right on back. He was great at it. Like, oh snap, did you just throw that back at me? Like, wow, that's what we doing. That's how we doing that. Okay, I see you. All right. So that's what he did. Yeah, so I think he said it was something else after that. It was some nonsense though. And so I blocked him. I blocked him. I was like, okay, because when we departed in September, I just left him there. I didn't block him. I didn't, I don't really get into the blocking thing. That's some new stuff for me. He's the second person I blocked within the past month or so, because I realized sometimes it's just necessary. Access denied. You have no more access to me. Now, we did follow each other on socials or whatever the case. So if you want, if you force my hand to block you on those as well, I will. I can and I will. But right now, it's not at the top of my list. Because you're not. You're not even on the list. The only reason why you got a text is because you were in my way. You were doing something that could negatively affect my health. And I felt like not talking to you was a little less important than my health. My health overrid it. I said, nah, we're going to go ahead and send this message. And depending on the response will dictate whether or not how I move from there. And it ended up resulting in a block. See you later, goodbye. Now, just like I said, I would never verbally say anything to you again. Now I will never text you again either. It's done up. That's a boundary. That's one that I set. And it is in place, and I'm going to stand firm on that. There's no need or reason for us to communicate anymore. So we won't. You understand what I'm saying? Set whatever boundaries you need to set for your health. That's mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, whatever way that is going to make sure your health is at its optimal level, its best level, and protecting your peace and your sanity. Put those boundaries in place and stand on them as best as you can. And when you fall short, because sometimes we do, give yourself grace. It's okay. It's all right. My goal, honestly, is for you guys to watch these podcasts, watch my podcast, these episodes, and, have an understanding of how to deal with a manipulator. But I want y'all to get out. I want y'all to run for the hills. I want you to protect your peace in a way where you ain't even gotta deal with that nonsense. But if it's not something, if it's not quite that easy, which I completely understand as well, do what's necessary to protect yourself. I promise you it's worth it. I'd like to thank you all for watching. I'm going to end this episode here. Remember, once again, you are guided, you are protected, and you are safe. See you next time.